You've got about 10 seconds to get the hell off my property before I decide your target practice. I was standing in 100-degree Arizona heat, shotgun resting casual across my forearm, staring down three people who'd just pulled into my driveway like they owned the place. The woman in front, blonde helmet hair, salmon-colored blazer that cost more than my truck, holding a designer leather portfolio like it was a holy relic, didn't even blink. Mr. Navarro, I'm Patricia Brennan, president of Desert Vista Estates HOA. We have legal documentation showing this property falls under our jurisdiction. You owe us $87,000 in accumulated fines, and I don't owe you shit. I took a step forward. This land's been in my family since 1967. It's never been part of your plastic suburb, and it never will be. So you can take your fake paperwork and your threats and get back in that shiny black Escalade before things get real uncomfortable. The man behind her ex-cop look, thick neck, hand resting on his belt like he still carried a badge, puffed up his chest. Son, you don't want to escalate this. Son? I laughed, but there was nothing funny in it. Wrong word, wrong tone, wrong property. You've got 5 seconds. Patricia's smile turned sharp as a cactus spine. We'll be back with a court order. Enjoy your freedom while it lasts, soldier. That word hit like a slap, but I didn't move, didn't react. Just watched them climb back into their SUV and peel out, kicking up dust that hung in the air like smoke signals. War had just been declared on my grandfather's land, and they had no idea what kind of fight they'd just started. When I inherited Santiago Ranch 3 months ago, it didn't feel like a gift. It felt like a ghost handing me unfinished business. 185 acres of scrubland outside Tucson, Arizona, where the saguaro cactus stand like sentries, and the heat doesn't ask permission, it just takes what it wants. My grandfather, Miguel Navarro, bought this land in 1967 with money he'd saved working copper mines in Bisbee. Every fence post, every irrigation line, every stone in the foundation of the main house, he'd placed it himself. When he died last spring at 93, he left it to me with one condition written in his will. Keep it free. No HOA. Not ever. I'm Daniel Navarro, 34 years old. Former Army infantry, 2 tours in Afghanistan, honorably discharged in 2019 after an IED turned my left leg into a reconstruction project. I came back to the States with a limp, a Purple Heart I keep in a drawer, and exactly 0 patience for people who think rules mean more than rights. I'd been living in Tucson, working construction, trying to figure out what peace looked like after war. The ranch was supposed to be that answer. A place to rebuild, to breathe, to remember what my grandfather always said. A man without land is a man without backbone. The property sits at the edge of what used to be open desert back when Tucson's sprawl was just a dot on the map. Now, subdivisions creep closer every year like kudzu, choking out anything that doesn't have an HOA board and matching mailboxes. Santiago Ranch has the main house, adobe and timber, thick walls that keep the heat out, rooms that smell like creosote and old leather. There's a barn that's more rust than steel, a windmill that still works when it feels like it, and enough land to run a modest cattle operation if I ever get my act together. Most importantly, I've got the East Mesa, 60 acres of untouched desert that runs right up against the boundary of Desert Vista Estates, the newest suburban kingdom to spring up like a tumor on the landscape. Desert Vista is everything my grandfather hated. Identical houses in 5 unique floor plans, streets named after trees that don't grow here, and an HOA that sends violation notices if your grass is a 1/4 inch too long. The kind of place where people pay $500,000 to live in a beige box and call it the American dream. I'd seen them moving in over the past year, SUVs with dealer plates, families in spotless athleisure, kids who'd never seen a scorpion. They waved sometimes when they drove past my gate. I waved back. Live and let live. Then Patricia Brennan showed up. The first time I saw her was at the County Planning Commission meeting. I'd gone to file paperwork for a well repair permit, just routine maintenance, something my grandfather had done a dozen times. But when I walked into the meeting room, I saw her holding court in the front row. Patricia Brennan looked like she'd been assembled in a factory that made HOA presidents. Perfect highlights, power suit in desert pastels. Smile. That could sell you a timeshare or foreclose on your house with equal efficiency. She was giving a presentation about community enhancement through unified land management. I sat in the back and listened as she laid out Desert Vista's vision, expanding their HOA boundaries to include undeveloped properties that would benefit from professional oversight and aesthetic coordination. She didn't mention any specific properties, didn't have to. When she clicked to the next slide, there was a map showing Santiago Ranch highlighted in red, labeled Priority Integration Zone. My blood went cold. After the meeting, I cornered her in the parking lot. "Miss Brennan, I'm Daniel Navarro. That map you showed, that's my land." She turned, smile already in place. "Oh, Mr. Navarro. I was hoping to connect with you. Your property represents a wonderful opportunity for community collaboration. My property isn't part of your community. It never has been. Well, that's actually up for interpretation. The historical survey data suggests some boundary ambiguities, and given your grandfather's, shall we say, relaxed approach to code compliance over the years, there are questions about whether... There are no questions. The deed is clear. The surveys are clear. My grandfather made damn sure of that." Her smile tightened. "Mr. Navarro, I understand change can be difficult. But Desert Vista represents progress, quality of life, property values. Wouldn't you want your land to benefit from those things? What I want is for you to leave my property alone. Unfortunately, as HOA president, I have a responsibility to all residents. If your property impacts the community noise, dust, unsightly conditions, I have to address that, for everyone's sake. My property doesn't impact anyone, it just exists. And it's going to keep existing exactly how it is." She pulled a business card from her Kate Spade wallet. "Call me when you're ready to discuss this reasonably. We can work something out that benefits everyone." I took the card, dropped it in the nearest trash can on my way out. That was 5 weeks ago. I thought maybe she'd gotten the message. I was wrong. After Patricia and her goons left my property that first morning, I spent the rest of the day installing security cameras, 6 of them wireless, solar-powered, covering every approach to the house and barn. Cost me $800, worth every penny. That night, I sat on the porch with a beer and my laptop, reviewing the camera feeds. Around 9 p.m., a white sedan slowed down near my gate, stopped for maybe 30 seconds, then drove off. Couldn't see the driver clearly, but I screenshot the plates. The next morning, I got a certified letter. Thick envelope, legal-sized, return address, Desert Vista Estates HOA. Notice of violation and assessment. Dear property owner, following inspection of parcel a Z142270003, Santiago Ranch, the Desert Vista Estates HOA Board has identified numerous violations of community standards, including but not limited to unpermitted structures, barn, windmill, storage shed, non-compliant fencing, barbed wire, damaged posts, landscape maintenance deficiencies, overgrown vegetation, noise violations, machinery, livestock, aesthetic non-compliance property visible from community viewpoints. Total accumulated fines, $87,000 payment due within 30 days, or the HOA will pursue legal remedies including foreclosure and seizure of property. I read it 3 times, then I called my attorney. Her name was Maria Sandoval, mid-40s, sharp as a switchblade, with a reputation for eating HOA boards for lunch. She practiced out of a small office in downtown Tucson, specializing in property rights and land use disputes. "Daniel, this is garbage," she said after I forwarded her the letter. "Your property isn't in their HOA. They can't assess fines for violations that don't exist on land they don't control. So what do I do? Nothing. Don't respond. Don't acknowledge their authority. The moment you engage, they'll claim you accepted their jurisdiction. Let them make the first move. If they file a lawsuit, we'll crush it. What if they try something else? Like what? I don't know. Harassment, trespassing. This woman struck me as the type who doesn't hear no very often. Maria was quiet for a moment. Document everything. Keep your cameras running. If anyone from the HOA sets foot on your property without permission, call the sheriff immediately. And Daniel, be careful. I've seen these cases get ugly. She wasn't wrong. 3 days later, I woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of diesel engines. By the time I pulled on boots and grabbed my shotgun, there were already 2 trucks parked on my eastern boundary right at the fence line that separated Santiago Ranch from Desert Vista. 4 men in reflective vests were unloading survey equipment. One of them had a theodolite set up on a tripod, pointing directly at my property. I walked down there, shotgun over my shoulder, morning sun already hot on my neck. "Morning, gentlemen. Can I help you?" The crew chief, older guy, leathery skin, looked like he'd been doing this for 30 years, glanced up from his clipboard. "Routine boundary survey. HOA contracted us to verify property lines. Verify or redraw." He had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Sir, I just do what I'm hired to do. We're not crossing your fence, just taking measurements from the road." "Who hired you?" "Desert Vista HOA. Lady named Patricia Brennan." "Of course. You have a permit for this?" "Don't need one, if we're on the right-of-way." "Technically correct. The county road was public. I couldn't stop them from measuring, but I could damn sure watch them." I sat on my ATV for 2 hours, engine off, shotgun across my lap, making sure they didn't accidentally cross the line. They finished around 10 a.m., packed up, and left without a word. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. "Noticed you had some visitors this morning. Surveying crew. Thought you should know they're building a case to claim part of your east boundary falls within HOA jurisdiction. Watch your back." "A friend," I stared at the message. Who the hell was this? I tried calling the number. Disconnected. But the warning stuck in my mind like a burr. If Patricia was trying to redraw boundaries, she'd need fraudulent surveys or manufactured evidence. I needed to get ahead of this. I spent the rest of the day at the county recorder's office, pulling every document related to Santiago Ranch. Original deed from 1967. Survey maps, tax records, water rights certificates. Everything. The property clerk, older woman who'd worked there since before I was born, recognized my grandfather's name, Miguel Navarro. Good man. Fought like hell to keep this land independent. "What do you mean?" She lowered her voice, glancing around like we were plotting something. Back in the 90s, there was a different HOA that tried this same thing. Claimed his property was part of their development. Miguel came in here with boxes of documents and made them look like fools. Filed everything properly, had witnesses, kept every receipt. He knew they'd try again someday. Did he ever say why they wanted his land so badly? Water rights. Your property has one of the best wells in the county, plus the view that East Mesa overlooks all of Desert Vista. If they controlled it, they could develop it, turn it into a park or event space, charge residents for access. It's always about money, honey. I thanked her and left with copies of everything. That night, I locked the originals in my gun safe and uploaded digital backups to 3 different cloud servers. If Patricia wanted a paper war, I'd make sure every bullet was loaded. The escalation came faster than I expected. 2 days after the surveying incident, I found the first dead animal. A javelina desert pig lying just inside my fence line near the barn. Throat cut. Not killed by a predator. This was deliberate. I called the sheriff's department. Deputy showed up within an hour, took photos, wrote a report. "Could be kids," he said, not sounding convinced. "Or someone trying to send a message." I know exactly who's sending the message. "Mr. Navarro, unless you have proof, I have cameras, I have threats. I have an HOA president who thinks she can intimidate me off my own land," he sighed. "Look, between you and me, I've dealt with Desert Vista before. They're aggressive. But unless we catch someone red-handed, there's not much we can do. Keep your cameras running. Call us if anything else happens. Something else happened that night. Around 2 a.m., my security system went haywire. All 6 cameras triggered simultaneously. I grabbed my shotgun and my phone, pulled on boots, and headed outside. The barn was on fire. Small blaze, concentrated near the southeast corner where I stored hay bales, flames licking up the wooden siding, smoke rolling black against the stars. I ran for the hose, cranked the spigot, and fought the fire for 20 minutes before I got it under control. By the time the fire department arrived, the barn was saved, but damaged scorched walls, destroyed hay, smoke damage throughout. The fire marshal found accelerant residue. This was arson, Mr. Navarro. Someone poured gasoline and lit it. Check my cameras. We reviewed the footage. At 1:47 a.m., a figure in dark clothes approached from the east, from the direction of Desert Vista, face covered, moving fast. Poured liquid from a container, tossed a road flare, and ran. Couldn't identify them, but the message was clear. Back off, or next time, it's the house. I called Maria immediately. They tried to burn down my barn. Jesus. Did the fire marshal confirm arson? Yes. I have video of someone approaching from Desert Vista's side. File a police report. I'm also filing a restraining order against Patricia Brennan and the HOA board. This is terrorism, Daniel. They're trying to force you out. The restraining order was granted within 48 hours. Patricia Brennan and all Desert Vista HOA board members were prohibited from coming within 500 feet of my property. But restraining orders are just paper. They don't stop someone determined to destroy you. That's when Jake showed up. It was a Thursday morning, unseasonably cool, when a beat-up Ford F-150 pulled up to my gate. Guy got out early 30s, tan, wearing Carhartt work pants and a faded Diamondbacks cap. He had that easy confidence of someone who'd spent his life working with his hands. "Daniel Navarro?" he called out. I walked down from the porch, wary. "Who's asking?" "Name's Jake Morales. I bought the 5 acres just north of here, up by the old mining road. Heard you've been having trouble with the HOA folks." "Word travels fast," he grinned. "Small county. I came by to say I respect what you're doing. Standing up to those subdivision tyrants? We need to stick together out here." Something about him felt right. Former military bearing, calloused hands, the kind of guy who looked you in the eye when he talked. "You ex-service?" I asked. "Marines. 2 tours. Iraq, then recruiting duty in Phoenix. Got out in 2020. Been doing ranch work since. We talked for an hour. He knew the area, knew the water politics, even knew some of the same contractors I'd worked with. He offered to help me repair the barn damage, said he had welding equipment and spare lumber. "Can't pay much," I said. "Don't want pay, just want good neighbors. Besides, anything that pisses off Patricia Brennan is worth doing for free." Over the next 2 weeks, Jake became a regular presence. He'd show up mid-morning with coffee, help me replace burned siding, rewire electrical boxes that had been damaged in the fire. We'd work until sunset, then sit on the porch and bullshit about everything from V8 engines to the best way to trap roof rats. He asked a lot of questions. Normal questions, I thought. About the ranch history, about my grandfather, about the HOA situation. I answered freely. He seemed genuinely interested, genuinely supportive. Looking back, I should have known. The questions were too targeted, too specific. "Your grandfather ever deal with HOA stuff back in the day? Where do you keep your well documentation? Old ranches like this? The water rights can get complicated. You got title insurance when you inherited, just in case someone challenges ownership?" Little things, casual, but always circling back to documents, boundaries, legal vulnerabilities. I started paying closer attention. Noticed he'd wandered near the house when I went to grab tools. Noticed him glancing through windows when he thought I wasn't looking. Noticed his truck had California plates, not Arizona. One night, I tested him. Left a dummy folder on my kitchen table labeled "Property Deed Original" in big letters and set a trail cam inside pointed at the table. Next morning, Jake showed up earlier than usual, said he forgot his tape measure, asked if he could grab water from the kitchen. I said sure, watched him go inside, gave him 3 minutes. When I checked the footage later, there he was photographing the folder with his phone, flipping through pages, focused and deliberate. Son of a bitch. That afternoon, when Jake rolled up with his usual smile and coffee, I was waiting on the porch, shotgun across my lap. Not pointing, just present. Something wrong, man? He asked, smile faltering. Yeah. Turns out I don't like spies. His face went carefully neutral. What are you talking about? I'm talking about you photographing documents in my kitchen. I'm talking about your questions that are a little too specific. I'm talking about the fact that your 5 acres north of here doesn't exist. I checked with the county. That parcel is still BLM land. Jake's jaw tightened. Silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Look, Daniel, who hired you? Patricia? He exhaled slowly. You don't understand what you're up against. These people don't quit. They'll bury you in legal fees, harassment, intimidation. I was just trying to help them move this along so nobody else gets hurt. Help them? You mean help them steal my land? It's just land, man. I stood up. Get off my property now, and tell Patricia her spy game didn't work. Jake hesitated, then walked back to his truck. Before he got in, he turned. You're making a mistake. They're going to crush you. Let them try. He drove off, tires spitting gravel. I immediately called Maria and the sheriff, sent them the footage. They added it to the growing case file. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the dark with my shotgun and realized the truth. Patricia wasn't just aggressive. She was systematic. She'd sent surveyors, filed fake violations, burned my barn, and now planted a spy to gather information. This wasn't just an HOA overreach. This was a coordinated campaign to break me. And it was about to get worse. The next attack came through my bank account. I went to buy supplies at the feed store, just routine stuff, grain and fencing materials, and my card declined. I tried again. Declined. I called the bank from the parking lot, confused and pissed. The representative sounded nervous. Mr. Navarro, there's a legal hold on your accounts pending resolution of a civil judgment. What judgment? A lien filed by Desert Vista Estates HOA. They're claiming you owe $87,000 in unpaid fines and assessments. Until that's resolved, your accounts are frozen. My vision tunneled. That's not a legitimate debt. They don't have jurisdiction over my property. Sir, I'm sorry, but we have to comply with the court order. You'll need to work this out with the HOA, or get a lawyer to file a challenge. I hung up and called Maria. They froze my bank accounts. What? How? They filed some kind of lien. The bank is treating it like a real judgment. Maria cursed something she rarely did. That's illegal. They can't enforce a lien without winning a lawsuit first. Someone either forged documents or bribed a clerk. I'm filing an emergency motion right now. But Daniel, this is going to take days to sort out. Days where I couldn't buy supplies. Couldn't pay bills. Couldn't operate. I felt like I was drowning in bureaucracy designed to suffocate me. That afternoon, I drove into Desert Vista through the gates, past the perfect lawns and matching mailboxes straight to the HOA office. It was a small building near the community center, all glass and modern desert landscaping. Patricia's Escalade was parked in front. I walked inside. The receptionist, young woman, early 20s, clearly uncomfortable, looked up. Can I help you? I'm here to see Patricia Brennan. Do you have an appointment? Tell her. Daniel Navarro is here. She'll make time. The receptionist disappeared. 2 minutes later, Patricia emerged from her office. Still perfect, still smiling, still in control. Mr. Navarro, this is unexpected. You froze my bank accounts. I don't know what you're talking about. Bullshit. You filed a fraudulent lien. That's a crime, Patricia. Actual jail time. Her smile never wavered. If there's a lien on your accounts, it's because you owe a legitimate debt to this community. You're welcome to dispute it through proper legal channels. I'm not part of your community. I never have been. And this, I pulled the lien documents from my pocket, is fraud. She glanced at the papers. Mr. Navarro, you're clearly under a lot of stress. Running a property like yours must be overwhelming. Have you considered that selling might be your best option? I happen to know several developers who'd offer fair market value. I'm not selling. Not to you, not to anyone. Then, I suppose you'll continue dealing with complications. She turned to walk back to her office. Have a nice day, Daniel. I left before I did something I'd regret. But driving out of that perfect neighborhood, past those perfect houses, I felt the weight of it, the system designed to crush anyone who didn't comply. HOA rules backed by lawyers, banks, and county clerks who didn't ask questions. I was fighting a machine, and machines don't care about right or wrong. They just grind. But I'm not easily ground down, and I was about to get a weapon I didn't expect. The whistleblower found me 3 days later. I was fixing fence posts near the road when a Honda Civic pulled up, driven by a man in his 50s with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. Daniel Navarro? Depends who's asking. He got out, hands visible, non-threatening. My name is Robert Chen. I'm on the Desert Vista HOA board. Was on the board. I resigned yesterday. I set down the post hole digger. Why? Because Patricia Brennan is a criminal, and I can't be part of it anymore. He pulled a flash drive from his pocket. This has everything. Internal emails, financial records, meeting minutes, where she discussed strategies to force you out. She's been embezzling HOA funds, falsifying documents, and coordinating the harassment campaign against you. I took the flash drive like it might explode. Why are you giving this to me? Because what she's doing is wrong. I joined the HOA board to help the community, not to steal people's land. When I questioned her methods, she threatened to ruin my business. But I don't care anymore. She needs to be stopped. This could get you sued. It could. But I'd rather be sued than complicit. He handed me a second envelope. That's my formal statement notarized. Everything I witnessed. Use it however you need to. He got back in his car and left before I could even thank him. I took the flash drive straight to Maria. We spent 4 hours going through it. It was devastating. Emails where Patricia discussed creative enforcement tactics to pressure me into selling. Financial records showing $200,000 in unauthorized withdrawals from HOA accounts. Meeting minutes where she told board members they could recoup losses by acquiring and developing my land. The smoking gun. An email to a county clerk offering $5,000 to expedite the fraudulent lien filing on my bank accounts. Maria looked at me with something like awe. This isn't just a civil case anymore. This is criminal conspiracy, fraud, embezzlement, bribery. Daniel, we're going to destroy her. How fast can we move? I'm filing a motion to dissolve the lien tomorrow. I'm also sending this to the district attorney and the FBI. Patricia Brennan is going to jail. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. The fight wasn't over, but now I had ammunition, and I was ready to fire every single round. The court hearing happened 3 weeks later. I showed up in the only suit I owned, uncomfortable, wrong size, but better than jeans in a courtroom. Maria sat beside me with 2 briefcases full of evidence. Across the aisle, Patricia Brennan looked like she was attending a charity gala. Designer navy suit, perfect makeup, leather portfolio that probably cost more than my legal fees. Her attorney was some slick Phoenix firm partner who'd clearly never lost a case to a rancher with a limp. The judge entered older man, stern face, reputation for hating bullshit. That was good for us. Patricia's attorney went first. Claimed Santiago Ranch had been functionally absorbed into Desert Vista's jurisdiction through passive integration. Argued that my grandfather had failed to maintain the property to community standards, and that the HOA had performed maintenance on shared roads for years, establishing easement rights. It was creative fiction. It was also garbage. Then he produced documents, survey maps allegedly showing boundary errors, maintenance records supposedly proving HOA investment in my property, even a letter purportedly signed by my grandfather in 2003 acknowledging HOA authority. Maria stood up like she'd been shot from a cannon. Your Honor, every one of those documents is fraudulent. The courtroom went dead silent. She laid out our case like a prosecutor. Certified copies of the original 1967 deed explicitly stating no HOA affiliation. Forensic analysis showing the signature on the 2003 letter was forged. Wrong pen type, wrong paper age. Survey maps that had been digitally altered, with metadata proving they were modified 2 months ago. Then she called Robert Chen to testify. He walked to the stand looking like a man who'd already made peace with whatever came next. Under oath, he detailed Patricia's scheme, the fake documents, the harassment campaign, the embezzlement, the bribery. Did Patricia Brennan knowingly submit fraudulent evidence to this court? Maria asked. Yes. She told me directly that the documents were good enough to convince a judge. Her words. Patricia's face went pale. Her attorney tried to object, but the judge shut him down. Then Maria played her ace. The video of Jake Morales photographing documents in my kitchen, connected to Patricia through bank records showing payments from Desert Vista Security Services LLC, a shell company Patricia controlled. Final blow, the emails, displayed on a screen for everyone to see. Patricia's words in black and white. We need that ranch. Do whatever it takes. He'll fold eventually. The judge sat back, removed his glasses, and looked at Patricia like she was something he'd scraped off his shoe. Miss Brennan, in 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such brazen fraud and abuse of process. Your HOA has no jurisdiction over Mr. Navarro's property. Your claims are baseless. Your evidence is fraudulent, and your conduct borders on racketeering. He ruled swiftly. All HOA claims dismissed. Bank lien dissolved immediately. Restraining order made permanent. Patricia and her board were prohibited from any contact with me or my property, ever. But then he went further. I'm also referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal investigation. Wire fraud, forgery, bribery, conspiracy. Miss Brennan, you and your associates are likely facing federal charges. Patricia tried to stand, tried to speak. The judge banged his gavel. We're done here. Bailiffs approached Patricia as people in the gallery started whispering. Her attorney gathered his papers and bolted. Robert Chen, sitting in the back, nodded once at me. Outside, the Arizona sun was blinding. Maria turned to me, smiling for the first time in weeks. That's how you win. It's not over yet. No. But the hard part is, now we just watch them burn. I drove back to Santiago Ranch, feeling lighter than I had in months. But I knew Patricia. She wasn't done. Even facing criminal charges, she'd try one more move. I just didn't know it would be that same night. The attack came at 11 p.m. I was in the kitchen reviewing bills when I heard the alarm motion sensor near the east fence. Then another. Then 3 more. Someone was coming across my property in the dark. I grabbed my shotgun and my phone, called 911, then headed outside. The moon was up, bright enough to see shadows moving through the creosote bushes near the barn. Multiple people, maybe 4 or 5, moving fast. I took cover behind my truck, shotgun trained on the barn. This is private property. I've called the sheriff. Show yourselves. They didn't stop. I heard glass breaking, someone smashing windows in the barn. Then I smelled gasoline. They were trying to burn it down again, for real this time. I fired a warning shot into the air. The shotgun blast echoed across the desert like thunder. The shadows froze. Next one's not a warning, I shouted. They ran, scattered in different directions. I heard vehicles start on the road, engines revving, tires spitting gravel as they fled. I sprinted to the barn, found 2 smashed windows, gasoline poured along the walls, road flares scattered but not lit yet. They'd been interrupted before finishing. Sheriff's deputies arrived 10 minutes later. We reviewed the camera footage. 5 figures in dark clothes, faces covered, moving coordinated like they'd planned this. One of them, visible for just a few frames, was wearing Lululemon leggings under coveralls, distinctive pattern, unmistakable. Patricia. The deputies added it to the file. DA was already building a case. This was attempted arson on top of everything else. 3 days later, Patricia Brennan was arrested. Federal charges, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit arson, bribery, forgery. She was denied bail flight risk. The rest of the Desert Vista board resigned. The HOA, facing massive lawsuits from members who'd been lied to and embezzled from, voted to dissolve. Desert Vista Estates became just another subdivision. No HOA, no power, no Patricia. 2 months later, I stood at the eastern fence line watching the sun set over the desert. The barn was repaired. The cameras were still running. The land was still mine. I'd won, but winning felt less like celebration and more like survival. Like I'd fought off something diseased and now I had to remember what health felt like. That evening, I fired up the grill and invited some people over. Robert Chen, Maria. A few neighboring ranchers who'd heard about the fight and wanted to say thanks for standing up. We ate carne asada and drank beer, and didn't talk about HOAs or lawsuits or anything heavy, just people, on land, free. Near the end of the night, Robert pulled me aside. "You know what you did, right? You didn't just save your ranch. You stopped them from doing this to anyone else. I just didn't want to lose what's mine. That's enough. That's everything." After everyone left, I walked the property one more time, boots crunching on caliche, shotgun over my shoulder more from habit than need. I stopped at the new gate I'd installed heavy steel, automated, with a sign bolted to the frame. Santiago Ranch, private property. No HOA. Not now. Not ever. Trespassers will be prosecuted and mocked. I smiled. My grandfather would have approved. The desert was quiet except for coyotes singing in the distance. Stars so bright they looked close enough to touch. This was what peace felt like. What freedom tasted like. Hard-earned. Hard-fought. Mine. Some people think land is just dirt. They're wrong. Land is backbone. It's history. It's the line you draw and say, this far, no further. I'd drawn that line. I'd held it. And I'd do it again, every single time. Epilogue: Patricia Brennan was convicted on 12 federal charges in March 2025. Sentenced to 8 years in federal prison, ordered to pay $400,000 in restitution, and banned from serving on any HOA board for life. The Desert Vista Estates subdivision still exists, but without an HOA. Property values actually went up. Turns out people like freedom more than matching mailboxes. Robert Chin started a consulting business helping homeowners fight predatory HOAs. He's got more clients than he can handle. Maria Sandoval became something of a legend in property rights circles. People call her from across the state looking for help. She refers the hardest cases to me for moral support. I tell them the same thing every time. Document everything. Know your rights. And never, ever back down when you're right. As for me, I'm still on Santiago Ranch, still fixing fences, still working cattle, still living on land my grandfather bled for. And every morning when I walk out onto the porch with coffee and watch the sun come up over the Sonoran Desert, I remember what he taught me. A man without land is a man without backbone. And a man who surrenders what's his might as well not have lived at all. I've got backbone, I've got land, and I've got peace that nobody can take away. The end.